thinking it was going to be beauty before age, and that's what it's turned out to be. Well, no, we'll date it. I graduated from college in 1973, so I don't think there's anybody in the room as old as I am. Look, do the math. And my career sort of wandered around. I wandered into banking, and out of banking into corporate treasury, and back into consulting, and then I ran a business for 19 years. And now I've wandered back into wandering into other people's businesses again, just as I did when I was a banker. I do angel investing. And for those of you who don't know what angel investing is, it's investing in companies that are supposed to be high growth and at an early stage in their business development when the risks are high. And so what does an angel investor look for? An angel investor looks for, obviously, for somebody whose ambitions are to grow. They don't look for a balanced human being, just in case anybody's curious. They want somebody who's willing to work 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. They're looking for commitment. And most of all, they're looking for a great concept. They're looking for a team. They're looking for a coachable team. Because you can have a great concept, but it's probably going to go through a couple of iterations along the way, and things are going to change. We call those pivots. And so I joined Golden Seeds a little over a year ago, and Golden Seeds invests in startups where there is a woman in the C-suite, and where women have a significant equity position. That was very appealing to me because, for two reasons. One, for the very simple reason that women don't get their fair share of investment opportunities. The second one is that I really like the idea of encouraging other women to do things, and it was very appealing to me. And I'm going to stop there and ask if anybody has any questions, because I want it to be interactive. And I don't know what all of your interests are.
Just a question on, you had mentioned what the angel investors are looking for. What about scalability?
That would be high growth.
Yeah.
Yes, so they're looking for high growth.
Do you look for a certain industry?
Some angels do. Some angels like to be specific about, leveraging their expertise. Some angel groups are broader and have within them certain sectors. It varies.
Is there a certain area that you work? Is it like this area, or will you travel?
Yes to both. I live in this area and I do travel. I am in Boston usually once or twice a week. That's where the chapter of Golden Seeds that I belong to meets. So I go down there and work with them, and I also just work with MIT.
Tell us a little bit about the process that Golden Seeds uses.
Okay. Golden Seeds does a couple of interesting things that not all angel groups do. In order to, you're all familiar with the concept of a sales funnel. You want a lot of things to come in at the top so that you can get the really important ones out the bottom. Golden Seeds does something called office hours, and they do this on a monthly basis, where they do a presentation about the investment opportunities that are open to, how can you raise your money? And there are options. You don't have to look for an angel investor. You may be bankable.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. One around that, because it did sound like you were providing a little bit of support or technical assistance with helping someone get to a better spot with maybe what they first present, if they seem coachable and no life-work balance, which most of us do. But I'm also wondering, just like, what is that size of that funnel? Maybe specifically for Golden Seeds, and then also maybe for other investor groups that you know of. Like, when it gets down through the process, you really are able to take one business a year, two businesses a year. Like, how much funding is available, investing is available?
Well, any angel group is made up of members, and so at any point in time, there'll be some members who may feel that they are fully invested and they're waiting for a liquidity event in order to make further investments. And then there will be investors who are ready to invest at that point in time. The general rule of thumb when you're looking at things from an investor's standpoint is if you have a portfolio, let's say, of 10, you recognize that there's this very strong likelihood that 6, maybe 7 of them are going to go belly up. And that hopefully 3 of them you'll at least get your capital back on, and maybe if you're lucky, a small return. And that one of those 10 is going to be, you know, Facebook. It's gonna be LinkedIn. It's gonna be something that really takes off and gives you, you know, 100, you know, times what you invested in it. So, but if you take the approach that a banker does of, I wanna get my capital back out of each one of them, you're gonna end up being miserable as an angel investor. So you have to sort of go in with it like saying, I've got a portfolio and something in this portfolio is gonna do really well. I'm going to try and pick what's in my portfolio carefully, but I have to recognize that not everything is going to be entirely successful. Does that answer your
Yeah, it
question?
does, and you kind of use the scale of about 10 in a portfolio, is that typical?
Well, I'm using,
But
these,
I know.
we talking, you know, 6 out of 10, 1
Yeah.
out of 10, that's, you can have a portfolio of however many you feel comfortable investing in.
Right.
One of the things that sometimes happens is, of course, that companies that are fundraising raise more than one round of funding. So they start out with, hopefully with their family and friends or very early stage seed money, and then they move on to something where they're actually starting to put a value on the business. So you can sort of punt it forward by saying, I'm going to promise you that when I go to raise money, you're going to get 20% more than those people who are coming in at that point, because you come in when it's more risky. I picked 20% out of the air, it could be, you know, 50%. And then you go and at some point you set a value on the business, and that's a negotiation, and it's a kind of can be a tricky negotiation. Because if you're going to do multiple raises, you're going to raise money now and you're going to raise money in 18 months or 2 years, or even a year from now, you want that pre-money valuation to be higher the next time round than it was this time round. And so you don't want to set this round too high, because what people get very uncomfortable with is something called a down round, where your investors in this round agreed to your high valuation, and you run out of their money, and now you have to raise again. And the next investor coming in has you a little bit over the barrel and says, I don't think it's worth that. And so it pushes it down, and all of a sudden, somebody who thought they were getting 20% of your business, and that the return that goes with that, discovers that they only have 10% of the business, but the money they put in is the same amount. So it's a forward thinking that's got to happen.
Yeah.
Could you share one of your success stories, and is there one in Western Mass that comes to mind?
I've invested in 3 companies, 2 of them are in Western Mass, and I don't know if they're going to be successful yet or not.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a trend towards angel investors to understand the business and like get somewhat expert in having gone through that industry when they invest, or is it mostly a financial and business decision, or is there some sort of element of like the culture of that industry that they're also particularly like knowledgeable on? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I will tell you that I don't have huge amounts of expertise in any of the investments I've made, other than a general business sense. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people who don't specialize in industries they understand very well. Biotech, pharma, you really do need to understand the likelihood that whatever somebody's inventing, especially since you're doing it before it's like we've got FDA approval, that it makes sense to you, that it fits in the context of your knowledge. I'm completely ignorant in those areas, so if I were going to do that, it would be because I believed in one of my fellow investors that had that expertise. But, you know, I mean, I forget who it was who said it, but, so I'm not going to be able to attribute it properly. But somebody said, I look for 5 things when I'm investing. Team, 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 concept. So I would tell you that you don't want to invest in somebody you don't believe in them personally. If I used up my 10 minutes?
30 seconds.
Anybody got a really quick question? Otherwise, thank you very much.